Like a lot of people, you've put a lot on hold. Eating in restaurants, praying in your house of worship, attending sporting events, all to protect your health. So as we all start to get back, the same people who have been protecting your health all along are the people doing the most to keep your health safe, always. We're open for emergency care and for appointments safely for you. CHI St. Luke's Health Memorial.
Watson-Watkins. I'm president and CEO of the Lufkin, Angelina County Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Connect Podcast, connecting business to community. I'm here today with my incredible co-host, Blake Pollino with BP Media Group.
So we just finished an awesome episode. So this month we are talking about the importance of shopping local. So we just interviewed Bruce Green, the city manager of Lufkin, and Jason Arnold, the assistant city manager. And we talked to them all about the city's involvement in small business and making sure that these small businesses are profitable. And more importantly, we dive into exactly how the city is supported by the sales tax and how these dollars stay in our community and help grow our community and the vital resources that we use every week. So let's jump into this episode of the podcast.
Well, today we are excited to have City Manager Bruce Green and Assistant City Manager Jason Arnold. We welcome y'all to the Chamber Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Thank you. It's hard to believe it's November. It is time for the holidays, and we are thrilled to be able to talk about how the residents of Angelina County and Lufkin can continue to shop local and promoting local. I know years ago, the city actually started a Love Lufkin Shop Local program. But before we get into all of that, why don't y'all kind of give us your background, how long you've been at the city, and let the listeners know kind of who they're listening to.
Okay. Absolutely. I've been with the city for 12 years now. I started out as the in-house city attorney, and after a number of years as the city attorney, when Keith Wright became the city manager, he asked me to move over into admin. I continued to work as a city attorney, but had a different designation. I was the deputy city manager. And so when he left, I was appointed the interim, and I was just appointed a week ago.
Congratulations.
As the city manager.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a perfect move in.
Yeah. It was easy in that respect. We'll have to see how it goes, but it was easy.
It'll be great. We're glad to have you, Bruce.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
How about you, Jason?
So I've been with the city about 10 years now. I came in as the assistant director of Parks and Recreation. I was there for 4 years. Started working with emergency management at the same time. So I've been in that role for quite a while now. I went and I was the director for water and sewer utilities for a couple of years also. And then Keith brought me over. It would have been about the same time Bruce was moved into the deputy city manager. And I basically got into the assistant city manager role. And so I've been over there for a few years, and I've worked in different degrees with just about every department in the city, but my primary focus is still public works, which I enjoy and enjoy working on that side of it. So we're absolutely thrilled to have Bruce as a city manager. We all breathed a little sigh of relief the other night when that went down, but outstanding leadership, and we've already seen that in the last few months. And, Lord knows that we've needed it. So we're very excited to have Bruce and everyone else that we have in place. And just looking forward to
it's a good team
for what we're going to do. Yeah.
That will all change probably, but
no,
it's still early.
it's still early.
It's a great team. Well, we are excited to talk about the Shop Local program. And, our theme kind of this month is put your money where your heart is. And we all love Lufkin and we love Angelina County, and we all consider this home. And so we want to visit with you about how shopping local affects all of us. And so why don't you tell us, we can't compete with Amazon.
Right.
Everybody, I'm one to say I love that I can shop on Amazon and have it to me, but I always try to shop local first. It's just so vital. But let's really kind of dig into this and tell people why it's so important to shop local.
It might very well be good to get some perspective on the stats
Sure.
with respect to to what's happened in the last 6 months. Really, it's like a new world over the last 6 months. Everyone understands that from the coronavirus. But I just took a look at some of the stats. In the first 6 months of the year, consumers spent $347 and some change $1 billion online with U.S. retailers. Now, that doesn't mean anything until you realize it's up 30%. So people have changed their buying habits. They buy everything online. I mean, it's just really increased. So it's up 30%. And it's critical in a number of ways to buy local, because every time you buy local, you help your community.
That's right.
You help businesses, because those businesses rely upon the local shoppers. And the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you also help the city's basic services, because if it were not for sales tax, which is a significant part of the budget every year for the city, we simply wouldn't be able to do the services that we have. It would affect your water. It would affect your sewer. And so it's critical to buy local, and especially with that rising percentage of those who are buying online.
You know, I think people, you're right, they don't realize about the money that goes back into the city. And every dollar you spend with a local business returns about 68 cents back into the community.
Yes.
And that's vital. You know, that's including your police and fire. If something goes wrong, you want to have the services available to have assistance.
Right.
Well, Terry, you can appreciate more than most, the shopping local with your Love Lufkin campaign that you started years ago. And it is important. You know, Bruce spoke to it, you did. But to piggyback off of that, our core services, we simply could not meet those needs without dollars. Property tax, franchise tax, the other fees that we're able to charge, maybe it's on the water and sewer side or the solid waste side. Those, the water side is covered there. Solid waste fees, they cover solid waste. Sure. But property tax, some of the other fees that we're allowed to charge as a city, those would not pay for the police department, much less all the other needs that we have in terms of fire and emergency needs, street department, all those things, all those services that, again, we do a lot of extra. Well, not a ton of extra. We do some extra. But just those very basic needs that we are required to perform, we couldn't do them without sales tax dollars. It's just that simple. So there's just not a debate. Again, you could argue here, you could argue there, but what we absolutely have to do, we could not do without people shopping locally.
Bruce, and I think you made a valid point. People's buying habits have changed, and we've got to get back to going local and buying it.
Yes, I've seen it in my own home, and I suspect everyone else has. My wife, it seems like we have something coming from online every single day. But I've encouraged her, and she's been very good about it, to take advantage of the curbside, of calling in, having someone shop for her. They did that for a while at Sam's. And she's developed a good approach to that that we think is a good way for those who like that approach to do and still buy local. But the concern is that everyone will just start ordering from places online that doesn't benefit the local businesses or the city.
So it's not necessary to say that all online buying is bad, right?
No.
So there are local ways within our community that you can, because our habits have changed, and they're probably going to continue to change even more drastically. I know us personally, we use services during all of this COVID pandemic that we didn't use before, that we kind of realized, hey, these are really convenient. We'll probably continue to do some of the curbside pickups. And I joke with some friends that own restaurants in town. I said, you guys need to keep this curbside thing going all the time. Like I love just pulling up here. And so I think it's uncovered some opportunities for local businesses to pivot a little bit and to start level that playing field down, because it is extremely difficult to compete with somebody like Amazon and some of the other really large online retailers. But what are some things that you've seen here in our local economy that small business owners and entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast can implement into their business effectively to kind of help with that? I know we said the curbside. The curbside's definitely been a big help.
I think that curbside, yes, of course. I think something that's growing is the personal shopping. I think that some of the local businesses, even small businesses, have taken advantage of that, where they're looking to add a component of their business being simply personal shopping. There may be ways that they can put on the internet what their inventory is, and then actually do the shopping. They can pull up. It's similar to the curbside, but someone actually goes in, does the shopping for you. So curbside personal shopping, I think, would be two ways that local businesses would be able to benefit, even if they are small local businesses.
You know, we have a lot of local businesses that open early for elderly patrons, or for those that have any type of illness that they might not want to be around others. And so definitely take advantage of that. I know I went to Target the other morning at 8 and I couldn't get in. They were like, you can't get in until 9. I said, why? And they said, well, because you're not old enough. I thought, well, that's a first. Yeah. But it's great to find out, you know, places like that. I know that the Chamber has really tried to promote people that are doing the curbside and the personal shopping, and so that people are aware of what's out there, and you know, who can assist them with different things. I know also, especially with like a lot of our downtown businesses, you know, they are requiring you to wear a mask. They ask you to, and I just think right now it makes everyone feel safer, and it's not about taking away anybody's freedoms, but it is about protecting people so that we can get out and continue to shop local.
You know, not everything that comes out of this this virus and its pandemic nature is bad.
Agreed.
You have to look at it in the proper way. You have to be able to see how my business could be improved, how my outreach to the public could be improved. But there are good things that can come, and we've seen the same thing downtown. They're thinking of all kinds of ways that they can increase their business. And a lot of times it's going out and meeting the cars.
You know, Jason, you said a minute ago, and I'll say it again, the city does a lot with little. And I think people need to remember that. You know, our low tax rate is one reason that Lufkin is so attractive to site selectors and to others that are wanting to relocate here at 8.25. And that's not something that everybody has. And so making sure that it goes back again, you know, every $100 puts $8.25 back into the community.
You're absolutely right. So one, just to brag about just the city in general, we do more than your average city in terms of overlaying streets and picking up trash. The new construction for water and sewer lines, and we provide EMS services to the county. We do and we could go on. We do a lot that your average city does not do. They'll contract out the majority of those services. So what that does in a few different areas, but is number one, we get more bang for our buck, right? We have very good people, and because we're able to provide those services, we're gonna be able to overlay more streets with the same amount of money because we're not paying a contractor to do it. And so we're able to do those things, and we're able to offer a lot of services and really take care of our people, I think, better than most cities could. And again, they're still going to have to spend that money because they have to take care of their streets. They have to provide police service and those kind of things. We're just able to get more for it for every dollar because we're doing it ourselves. And so, again, that's why it's just so important for people to understand that we want to take care of them, and we will take care of them. If they're doing their best to spend a little locally, they're going to get a little bit more. There's going to be a return, and we hope people see that by the way we offer what we offer and take care of them the way we take care of them.
One other thing that might be helpful to listeners to know is just how reliant the city for those services that Jason mentioned, just how reliant the city is on the actual sales tax. Typically, your average city is going to have about 32 to 35% of its budget that comes from sales tax. Lufkin's more like 39.8, so it's almost 40% of its budget. Now, the reason for that is that some cities have higher property tax. They make more of their budget on the property tax. Not so for Lufkin. For the reasons that you mentioned, Tara. The tax rate is kept low. The property taxes that are already high in the state of Texas aren't increased. So Lufkin is, in order to do those basic services that Jason mentions, about 40% of its budget comes from sales tax. So it makes it important just to provide the needs of the citizens to get the sales tax from buying local.
Years ago, and I told y'all, I pulled out my notes from the old Love Lufkin Shop Local, but I love this slide and I want to share it because you talk about 8.25, but the city doesn't get 8.25.
We wish.
Yeah. I mean, so if you break that down, $6.25 is sent straight to the state of Texas. 50 cents goes to Angelina County, and then the $1.50 is left for the city. But then when you break that down even farther, less than 3 cents are spent on city administration. 82 cents are spent to provide public safety administration. 17 cents for street maintenance. 8 cents on our beautiful parks. 7 cents on our award-winning zoo. 3 cents on our library. And the last 30 cents covers all other city services.
Right.
And when you think about that, I mean, I grew up going to the zoo. It's the most beautiful zoo. It's an award-winning zoo, over 825 wild and exotic animals. And they get 3 cents out of every $1.50 that is spent to do what they do and to be able to bring in new animals and to be able to bring new attractions, which creates tourism and which creates, great things happening for the people that actually live here. And so I just commend the city for what you do with $1.50 to be able
Thank
to
you.
make our home such a beautiful place to live and play and worship and gather. And I think it goes back to doing a lot with a little.
You talk about the zoo. Everything you said about it is exactly right. It has great leadership.
Yeah.
And has with Gordon Henley for a long time. But it also it's somewhat related to the buying local. They have a local group of supporters that love that zoo and the friends of the zoo. And so they do a tremendous amount that helps us, even given the small amount that comes from the city, to do a great deal more. So we have great people in the city of Lufkin, and that's true of our businesses. And it's another reason we want them to be well supported by buying local.
During all the coronavirus, what have you seen as a constant from local businesses? Have they contacted the city and asked for help? I know they've done that with the chamber, but what have you heard from local businesses, large and small?
Well, I would start by saying there's probably been more communication between the city and local businesses than there ever has been, and for obvious reasons, right? Especially when this all started. It was very confusing. We were watching every one of the governor's, meetings or conversations and trying to filter out what exactly we could do and what we couldn't do. But I will tell you, it was very encouraging from the get-go. Whenever we had a business owner call us, it was all right, so what can we do? How can we take care of people? What do we need to do? We want to make sure we're complying with the city and with the county and with the state, and we want to make sure we're taking care of people. You mentioned the opening up hours and limiting it to our older population, doing those kind of things. So I will tell you, as it's been tough times, no doubt about it, but it's been very encouraging, and it exemplifies Lufkin to a T, because when times get hard, when they get tough, we just kind of huddle in together and we figure out, all right, how can we take care of each other? And the city, we've taken that very seriously. The chamber's taken it very seriously, but our local business owners, and not just the small, but the big box stores, everyone in town has really just kind of stood together and taken care of people, and it's been very encouraging. Bruce was able to help with. Bruce and Gerald were able to help bring in, the CARES grant and do those, and he can speak a little more to the details of that. But I would just tell you, just from a general, working with each other and communicating, it's been very, very positive from day one. I guess spring break, when everything started, it's been nice.
Seems like years ago.
I was going to say
Spring break of '98. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Your chest pain, it may mean nothing, but it may take everything. Know the symptoms of a heart attack. If you have any of them, get to the nearest emergency room. We're waiting for you. It's your health, so everything is up to you. Everything. This message brought to you by Woodland Heights Medical Center, home of a nationally accredited chest pain center. Log on to learn more.
Are you interested in buying or selling real estate? I'm Becky Cota, broker and co-owner with my husband Kevin here at Century 21 Cota Realty. We have 21 agents that are highly trained and committed to delivering an extraordinary buying or selling experience. Contact us today to see how we can help you.
Can you talk a little bit about the program that you rolled out with the CARES Act?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Jason hits on a good point, and that is we've been involved in this for some time, but basically we're administrators, and so we carry out the policy for the city council and for the mayor, and so from day one, they were all over this issue, and particularly the mayor. Everyone in the city knows the mayor. He loves Lufkin. And so it was always from the mayor, we need to do something for the local businesses. We need to do more for local businesses. Well, the city's hands are sometimes tied with what it can do because it can't dispense funds and those kinds of things normally. But the mayor was insistent. He was writing articles and putting them in a newspaper, and so was the council making that point. We want to do first what we can do for business. Is there anything we can do? And along comes the CARES grant. It was rolled out fairly quietly nationally, so it took us a while to see what might be available, what might be done with it. And once we finally figured out the fact that this was not funds from us, that were taxpayers' money, that's where the city gets into a problem. Right. We can't just give out the taxpayers' money. This was federal grant given to cities and that was one of the purposes. Mm-hmm. And so we jumped on that idea. The mayor and the council loved the idea of establishing a way to help the businesses. There were ways that we might be able to assist with overtime for police and fire, but the council and the mayor said, no, first you do businesses. And so that's what we did. We made application for the grant. We tried to expedite it. Gerald Williamson, our assistant city manager for admin and also for public safety, rolled that out. We sought those funds. We got the funds, established the program, and Tara was on the board that made the decisions ultimately. All we did was make sure that the legal requirements for what we needed to have in order to show that the money was well spent were there, and then that was passed on to a committee, a board, to make that determination. It exceeded our expectations. We had approximately, I may be wrong, but about 139 applicants in the short window we had. We ended up being able to, through the committee, I believe you all issued 82 grants,
I think
something like
right.
that. Yeah. We wanted to make sure that it was earmarked for a certain amount for lower income and for minority businesses. So we guaranteed that 25% would go to that. It ended up like 42%. So we were very pleased with that. And so the money simply came in and it was dispensed right away through this committee according to the guidelines. The testimonials were humbling. Some of the things we read with regard to the struggles of the businesses just exceeded what we were concerned about. So it made us even more concerned. And we were pleased to do it. The mayor and the council insisted on doing it, which was a great idea. And they were even more concerned after they heard some of those testimonials. So.
Well, the chamber was fortunate enough to receive one of those grants, and you just don't know how much that it helps us. I think people forget the chamber is a nonprofit, but we're a C6, so we did not qualify for any of the grants, not being a C3. So we truly appreciate it. It helped us pay expenses for a month, and that is saying a lot during a pandemic. So we appreciate that very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a wild time to see, and it was humbling to see just how wide of an effect it had on what businesses had a kind of a trickle-down effect into other businesses and this chain reaction of things going. But it was really remarkable to see how people came together on that. And that program was really inspiring as a business owner when we were looking at our options and what we had available to us during that time. It seemed like everywhere we turned, there was some level of support being offered from the city, from the government, and even just from community-wise, seeing people who were looking for ways to support businesses that maybe they didn't before because they knew those businesses, needed the help. And my wife is a great example of that. She had heard of a business struggling that we normally, we frequent pretty often. She's like, I got to go buy some stuff. I can't have them closed down. I need these people around. But it's been really remarkable to see. And just from what we saw from that program, helped a lot of local businesses in a time that they really needed it. So we want to say thank you. We greatly appreciate that.
Turned out to be a surprisingly good program. We were glad to be able to take part in that.
Absolutely.
People that shop local and spend local, it's those companies that are the ones that give back to United Way. You look at the Berkshire Brothers Charitable Foundation, HEB, Murphy George, Citywide Directories, Marco's. All of those are local businesses, locally owned. And they're the ones that are making huge donations and continuing to give back. And so we just want to remind you, it's just another reason to shop local, because when you do shop local, your local people in return give back to the community, and it's just a full circle.
That's a great point. When I came to Lufkin, I was from East Texas, but we decided to relocate after a busy career in another field to Lufkin because I had one family member still in East Texas. It was my sister. And so we came here in 2008. And one of the first things that stood out to me was how benevolent the community is, and especially the businesses.
That's right.
It was actually a shock. I remember telling friends around the country, you'd be surprised at all of these events where people are supporting this cause and that cause, and they're often supported by the businesses. So that is a reason that we want to see them continually supported through this time. And I might mention, too, that goes over to the big box stores as
That's
well,
right.
not just the small, because the Walmarts, the Sam's, the Targets, those typically have local people who
right.
work there.
Local
It provides
employees.
jobs. And so the community is reliant upon these in a number of ways, including their benevolence, which is amazing.
Well, sales tax is so important. I think a lot of people think that property tax actually is what helps fund fire and police, but when you put all of that together, it won't even begin to fund the entities of fire and police with property tax. So it is all about sales tax, and we've got to continue to shop local so that we can keep property taxes low.
Yes.
That we can continue to incentivize businesses to come and to look and to work with the 4B and the EDP and the
Yes.
city and be able to come and make this their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are some things kind of on the horizon? You don't have to get into detail if it's something that can't be announced yet, but some plans that people may not know about or some opportunities that people may not know about. One of the things we always like to tap into in each of these episodes are resources for local business owners or local entrepreneurs to tap into. Anything like that you can offer to our listeners that maybe they don't know about or is an opportunity around or something coming up that you can tell them about? Sorry to put you on the spot with that.
Actually, we kind of like that because it gives us an opportunity to mention that while a lot of the decisions are are embryonic at this point. We have been thinking about that. And here's the reason for it. When we looked at this whole issue that we've been talking about buying local, especially in the context of the coronavirus, one thing that greatly concerns us is that it's quite possible in circumstances like this for the cure to be worse than the actual disease. And I'm using that metaphorically in this case, but as bad as it is, it has changed a lot of the way that we live. And we have to be careful that that does not damage us in the long run. So just social interactions have suffered. That's one small area. Business has suffered. We're very concerned that it will damage businesses long term. So with that in mind, we have sat down, listened to the council, listened to the mayor, we've talked among ourselves, brainstormed, and we really believe that it's not time to sit in the corner and wring our hands and wait for something to happen. We think we need to take an aggressive approach to coming back. For businesses, we need to find every way we can to help. We need to revitalize a lot of businesses. We have looked very closely at the critical importance of downtown because the southern part of the city seems to do well. It's bouncing back quickly. There are businesses standing in line, perhaps some of them chains, to come along 59. But where most of the headway can be made is a revitalization and growth in small business downtown Lufkin. This is the kind of thing where the chamber, the city, can make a profound difference. So we're looking at strategic partnerships to make that happen because the city can't do everything. The city can remove certain impediments to growth. It can provide certain leadership. It can deal with parking, those kinds of things. But the LEDC, and Jason can mention some of these, but the LEDC itself is working on an exciting new program. We're looking at the partnership with the Arts Alliance that is going to focus on sort of a revitalization of the downtown area. We're looking at a new urbanism approach where we are looking and talking with consultants that will say, we've seen you do it in Austin, we've seen you do it here. We're interested in you doing that to scale in Lufkin. What can you do? So the reason for that, and we just came from a meeting with the Museum of East Texas and explained to them that they're a critical part of that as well. And the important thing to mention is that it's really all for business. It's all for the local businesses. We want to help them come back as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, but as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So we're resilient, Lufkin is, and we're going to bounce back, and we feel strongly we're going to bounce back better than most. But when this is all said and done, and we don't know when it's going to be, this whole pandemic and the shutdown, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers, unfortunately. But we feel we're primed better than most to come out and win. And that's what that aggressive approach is. Look for opportunities to really build ourselves up and prop ourselves up. One of the great ideas that Bruce has had in terms of this downtown focus is we already have some very successful, very prominent businesses in town who do well, who I think it would serve them well to have a presence downtown. And I think it's a really great opportunity to come, and we're going to approach them, and we know they'll approach us. Bob Sanford with Lufkin EDC, he does a great job with that. Everyone knows Bob; he does a great job. So he's going to help kind of grease the skids in that regard. But it's very exciting times, and I think while others are kind of just sitting back and just kind of hoping to tread water and, hey, let's see what happens, we're taking a different approach that Bruce is talking about, where we don't want to just survive this thing. We want everyone here to come out ahead, and we feel very strongly that, with us helping to do the little bit that we can, but really with the community support and with our partners, our private partners, we feel very confident that there's bright future ahead for us. It's very neat. Yeah.
Which brings me to a comment about the chamber. as we talk about these, the LEDC effort is being led, the charge is being led by Bob Sanford, as Jason mentioned. He's going to sort of pave the way for that new urbanism consultant and sort of lay the groundwork for some exciting things. We don't yet, we're just getting started. The Arts Alliance, but none of those groups have the broad connection that the Chamber does. So we're very hopeful, even though this is sort of going as we make it up, but that the Chamber itself, with its connections with the businesses, may be a critical part in that, to say, what is this going to look like, this comeback collectively, and partnering with these different groups. And so you have a lot of connections and a synergy that the city doesn't, that you can bring to that, where we get more ideas. We're just committed to seeing it happen, doing whatever the city can to foster that and to encourage it, and to partner in ways that we can't do by ourselves. So hopefully you all will think about that and come up with some great ideas for us.
You know, having grown up here and then worked with y'all at the city for 10 years and then coming over to the Chamber, my heart is in the middle of all of this. And so you can always count on the Chamber to stand right beside you and to do what is needed for the betterment of our community.
Well, you traffic in these kind of ideas. We don't. It's new for us. But it is born out of what we're seeing, and so that it's out of the struggles of businesses.
That's right.
and basic services. But you all will bring a lot more to the table.
Well, we'll be right there with you.
Good.
We know that change won't happen overnight, but what we do know is that we all collectively can make an impact for the positive and for the good of our city and our community and county. And so, again, it is the month of November. You are ready to Christmas shop, and we encourage you to shop local, to make a difference in our small businesses and our large businesses. Keep our local people employed, because we want people to be able to stay in Lufkin and Angelina County. It's vital to the success of where we're going as a community. And we just appreciate y'all being here so much today.
Thank you for asking us.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for your time. It's so refreshing to know that we have city leadership like we do that genuinely cares about small business and is being proactive to make sure that it succeeds. But thank you also for listening to the podcast. We appreciate your time every week. Every Monday, we dive into interesting discussion. So this month, it's all about shopping local and local business. So tune in next week. You can find this podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And it's also available in video form on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And thank you so much, and you'll have a great week.